Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom brought to you by K-12 Sports Tech on the Educational 80 podcast. We'll be right back with today's Wednesday Wisdom guest, but first, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, hold on right there. Don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great. I recommend that you check them out. So, listen to our sponsorship messages, then listen to our segment, and then go visit each one of these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Huddle for their support. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I wanted a platform that was going to work for all of our teams, and Huddle came through like a champ. Our coaches loved it, our student athletes, even our parents loved all the tools that Huddle sent us. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to thank K-12 Sports Tech for their support. K-12 Sports Tech is helping athletic directors and sports vendors connect through education and hands-on consulting. Athletic directors are also invited to join the K-12 Sports Tech AD think tank to help influence how companies shape their tech to serve schools. To join or to find out more, simply go to k12sportstech.com. That's it, k12sportstech.com. We want to thank Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Their products not only generate income for your athletic department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We'd like to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day for things like scheduling, uploading rosters, communicating with your coaches. How about athletic clearance and eligibility? Who doesn't do that every day? Home Campus is going to do all of these things better, going to do them faster, and it's going to give you a lot more time back in your schedule. To get started, just go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all your teams, for all the events, or to show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Their interactive touchscreen video consoles are also a great way for you to tell your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thanks to Snap Raise. If you're looking for a fundraiser, stop. You found it. Go to snapraise.com. Hands down, the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with tremendous success. It works. Okay. Our coaches loved it. Our parents loved it. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you found it. Go to snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your players or your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. AD's already here back from the complainers, the people that want to gripe about everything. Athletic Surveys will connect you to them, but they'll also connect you to the 98% that support your program. That information is tremendously valuable when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your principal or maybe your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com, schedule, let them show you how they can create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. It's athleticsurveys.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. If you're not posting on social media to celebrate your athletes and your teams, you're really missing out because that's where they are. Go to Gipper.com. Their team is going to show you how to create world-class content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. Gipper's used and trusted by over 4,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We'd like to thank the Ohio University Online Masters of Science in Athletic Administration for their support. This is an affordable 20-month online program that focuses exclusively on athletic administration. When you finish, you're not only going to have your master's, you're going to have 11 NIAAA leadership training courses to go towards your RAA or your CAA, and you'll also be part of a nationwide graduate network with connections in K-12 athletics. To get started, go to ohio.edu/info/MAA. That's Ohio University's online masters. We'd also like to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, and more customization. Hometownticketing.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. One of our favorite contributors is on today, Amy Elliott. If you've listened to the podcast before, you know about Amy's background, but she is a certified master athletic administrator, and she's the director of athletics at Kentucky Country Day School. Has a tremendous background, very active in her state and at the national level. So, Amy Elliott, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it.
Well, you and I were talking. It's a busy time, spring sports, and you're currently, as we speak, involved in something that a lot of athletic directors go through. So, share with our listeners today, what the topic is and how you meet the challenges that come with this. I'm not going to say daily, but all too frequent challenge.
Yeah, I always kind of joke around, but I would say my two least favorite parts of the job are trying to hire new coaches and weather delays. They take so much time and it's very difficult. And there's just always things that pop up. So right now, typically it's April showers, bring May flowers, but for some reason we have tons of showers in May. And the last week, I've had more changes and significant issues than the last 10 years or so, in terms of really bad arms. And what's difficult is we're in the postseason. So it's not like we can just replay this game, 2 weeks from now. So what we're running into today is that we have the commissioner for the girls lacrosse. We're not the girls side. Another athletic director is in charge of the boys side. So ideally, we had come last week, I guess last Tuesday, we had the girls semifinals on Saturday, quarterfinals on Saturday. And then we were planning for the semis on Tuesday and the finals on Thursday. And we were trying to match up the boys to not overlap. So the boys were going to play Saturday as well, kind of different times, and then Monday and Wednesday. And we were trying to get everything by Friday because we have many schools that have like baccalaureates, they have graduations, senior ring ceremony, like all these, end of year events that are very non-negotiable in terms of moving them and them involving the whole school and not just athletics. So that was the plan. And then Tuesday, our public school system shut down all events. So by like 1 o'clock, they just said everything is canceled. And Murphy's Law wound up being totally sunshiny and bright and everything was great. So that was super frustrating. So we had to move everything back that day. And then Wednesday, we actually did get all the storms. So we were trying to get games in, and those got canceled and pushed back to Thursday. So long story short, everything got pushed back at least 2 days. The girls were awesome. A lot of the schools were wonderful about, we had 2 schools actually almost basically do double headers on Wednesday so that we could keep our quarterfinals on Saturday. So I think one thing is, really having great relationships with other athletic directors, the coaches of whatever you might be in charge of is huge, that they know, you care about the program, you care about what's going to happen, the girls, the teams, you're not just making these, bold decisions without any forethought. So that's been nice in terms of everyone being a little, understanding and flexible. They know we can't control the weather, but, even on Saturday, we made tons of accommodations for the state quarterfinals because there was things in the morning for 3 of the schools, prom in the evening, and really trying to make concessions so those kids get great games and at times that will work for them and still be allowed to do things at their school. So, I think you've got to be flexible, and people really understand that, but have been wonderful in terms of, I think establishing those relationships is key, right? I mean, you want to make sure people know and respect and trust you that you're going to do what's best for all the teams, not just your school. So today we have severe weather happening. It's supposed to be the semifinals of the state tournament for both boys and girls lacrosse, which now are on the same night, which obviously causes a lot of headache too. Like our girls and our boys are in them. So it's a lot, but so, really what I did was go back and forth with the other commissioner all morning, pretty much checking the weather, paid extra for the Weather Channel extended view this morning so I could get a 72-hour radar. And it's just so hard. I don't know how it is other places, but with the Ohio River in Kentucky, I mean, things change on a dime. So they could say it's going to storm, like on Tuesday, it was supposed to be possible tornadoes. And then by 3 p.m. it was beautiful. So it's really difficult to predict, but obviously the safety of the athletes is paramount. So we're moving everything to tomorrow, and just making all those adjustments. So, not only the coaches and the athletic directors, but telling my administration, telling our students, telling my security director, because I've got to get security and police officers, all your game workers, your concession workers, your PA announcers, your clock person, you name it. There's so many things you've got to kind of check off to make sure you remember. I think the biggest help right now is social media, so we've already posted on social media, KCD put it on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everything of, hey, games are postponed until tomorrow. So that's huge because I think that gets out pretty quickly. Also try to get in touch with our local newspaper, local kind of TV shows, people that may have been at the games tonight, and let them know. But there's always back in my mind, like, did I forget somebody? Did I not let somebody know? And you want to give people as much advance notice as possible.
Boy, you touch on so many great points there. And I think the biggest one for me is that network. And, you've been doing this for a long time. I did it for a long time. And so you've had a chance to build that network. But for a young athletic director, you need to start doing that right away for that moment like this, 5, 10,
Yeah.
or other years down the road. Now, you mentioned, and again, hosting an event at your own place has its own challenges. You're hosting
Yes.
the event at another facility. So there's other people involved. You mentioned that you were the chair for the state for the girls lacrosse program, and now you're
Mhm.
playing on the same night as the boys, or they're playing on your night. I guess we'll phrase it that way.
Yes, unfortunately, they stole our night.
How many people are involved, let's say at that top level? The game's going to get moved, or heaven forbid, the game's going to get canceled. Is the state association involved? Do you circle in the principals? I mean, who or how many make that final decision?
Yeah, good question. I think, since we're not sanctioned, we have a lot more local kind of camaraderie to do that, which I mean can be good and bad. Because if this was, the KHSAA, they might just say, we're canceled, we're playing this day. What also would happen is they're not going to ask when your graduation is, when your junior ring ceremony is, when your senior cocktail reception is. They're just going to pick a date and a time that's convenient for them and do it. So, I've said to a lot of the teams and athletic directors, like, even though these are not ideal situations, we're at least trying to accommodate people the best we can, and take in all the situations of the 8 teams that are, involved. So, if it was KHSAA, in my opinion, they would just move it and change it, and you would just have to adapt. So what's nice about us kind of not being sanctioned just for this year anyways, is, there's benefits and there's, disadvantages, but the benefit for this year is, the 4 teams that are in the boys and the 4 teams that are in the girls, there is some overlap. Just talked to the athletic directors that were involved with those teams this morning. Called some of my weather people that are kind of on top of it, but really worked with the boys, because we also knew if the boys were going to cancel, we're going to have to cancel. We can't have the girls tournament on and the boys tournament off. Like that's a no-brainer. So that's really who I worked with this morning, is kind of the commissioner for the boys and also the host site for the boys. And so just working together to kind of, text back and forth all morning on what we think and, what are your thoughts now, 2 hours later. So just a lot of, collaboration and try not to get too many people involved. And that sounds terrible, but you want to get,
No,
the people,
I,
because, you don't want 8 opinions, 2 or 3 is usually enough. So that's another
okay.
thing is who did I really need to talk to this morning was like, the host site that's hosting the girls, the host site that's hosting the boys, and the commissioner of the boys. And that's who I really worked with to make that final decision.
All right. I was going to ask the question anyway, but you opened up the door. How many in the last 48 hours, how many unsolicited text, phone calls, hey coach, comments did you get about the weather? Because everybody's got their own weather app and they just can't
Oh,
wait to
absolutely.
share with you. How many? Give me a
I mean,
ballpark.
I don't know, probably at least 18, 20. I mean, this just today, and this is, so for KCD, we've got a senior like reception tomorrow. And so now we have to move that game. And I've told my development team, and obviously that's frustrating for them. But they're like, can you play indoors? Is there any indoor stadiums? Do you really need fans? Like, I mean, you name it, but it's because May is just so hard. I think I can't imagine it's just at my school. May is just very difficult for sporting events, end of year events. There's so many quote important things, that you kind of can't change and move. And this has been one of the first times ever that we've had this many issues with playoffs, like multiple days and multiple sports. But end of year, it's like, what are you going to do? I had somebody email me, well, we have to play back to back. And I'm like, I get it. But Friday there's a graduation and a baccalaureate. Saturday morning there's a graduation and a baccalaureate. Sunday there's a graduation. And then like by Monday of next week, I don't know if that's appropriate to push it back when kids have already graduated.
Right.
I know the boys were worried about that because there's a very big rivalry, and they're like, what can we do if they act out? We have no repercussions if they're already graduated and have their diploma. What can we do? And that's hard too. So a lot of things to think about, and you just hope you make the right decision and you go with it, and just yeah,
Well,
work work as hard as you can to make it happen.
well, I say this sincerely. I cannot think of a better person to be on the front lines than Amy Elliott to
Oh,
make
thank
those
you.
decisions. Okay, I know it's challenging, but you're going to do a great job. Um, for listeners, as I mentioned, Amy's the director of athletics at Kentucky Country Day. She's a CMAA. We've been involved since we connected a while back on a couple of different projects. If any of our listeners would like to add you to their network, which we talked about, what's the best way that they can get in touch with Amy Elliott?
Sure. It's my email. So it's amy.elliott, ELLIOTT, and it's at kcd.org.
Okay. Well, Amy, all the best with this most recent challenge you're dealing with.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to have to hear how it all turned out down the road. And all the best for the remaining spring sports events that you got.
Thanks so much, Jake. Appreciate it.
For listeners, we appreciate you. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this segment every week and new content and best practices just about every day. So please come back and listen to the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. See you next time. Boy, Amy Elliott is a real pro. Make sure you reach out and connect with her. Before we leave, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Remember K-12 Sports Tech. They sponsor our Wednesday Wisdom segment, along with our other sponsors. Gipper, go to gipper.com. Ohio University's Master of Science in Athletic Administration. That's ohio.edu /info/MAA. Huddle, go to huddle.com. Vital Signs Wall of Fame. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Home Campus, go to homecampus.com. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Their website is athleticsurveys.com. Hometown Ticketing, hometownticketing.com. Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. That's sidelineinteractive.com. And Snap Raise, you'll find them at snapraise.com. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast.